I don't know. All right, let's call to order the April 19th meeting of the Fire Board. Would you rise and join me in the pledge? The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can we have the roll call, please?
Aldrich.
Here.
Beckman.
Here.
Fox. Here. Rupoint.
Here.
Phelps.
Here.
And North.
Here. All right, please silence your cell phones. Don't text during the meeting. It's against the Open Meetings Act. Can we have approval of the agenda, please?
So moved. I'll support.
Okay, I have a motion by North and a second by Beckman. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Could we have the approval of the minutes of the March 20th meeting, please?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the March 20th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Fox and a second by Phelps to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Although hearing none, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're at public comment on agenda items only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody? Nobody in the peanut gallery? Okay. We have a special guest speaker this evening. So, Steve, if you'd like to begin with your dorm study. And we'll explain why we have a dorm study on the agenda later.
Oh, later? Okay.
But, go ahead.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, sir. I'm going to use this as a crutch for now, but I'll probably move around because I need to stalk the stage. It's great already indicated. Hello, my name is Steve Jerzik. I'm an architect with C2AE. Been doing that like 27 years. And for 20 of those years, I've also been a firefighter at Door Township. So I got to meet Greg through the Allegheny County Fire Association. Greg and you all had asked us to prepare a little study to see what it would take to add dorms to this building here, understanding that dorms are an important component of employee retention and the ability to get some first responders to offer them respectable overnight accommodations. And fill those vacancies that you have within the department right now. So we completed this study. We did a field survey. We did some sketching. We did a. That's a
$50 bill on the table.
That's $10 at happy hour.
Pretty well.
Yeah, put your coffee in it.
I can scroll it. That's what happens.
Sorry, Steve.
No worries. So we prepared several concepts here. I'm gonna kind of move down, and for those of you that are facing, well, you can see that. It's going to be good. I'm going to say already that what we've learned over the last, since we've completed this, is I would ignore the column that has a dollar sign with it, because I believe construction costs have changed quite a bit. But you can still use it as a gauge in terms of what might be more expensive versus less expensive option. Also, as you look at these comments, these concepts, I would say, try to focus on like the bigger picture as opposed to, well, that one had 6 seats around the dining room table and that one had 8. These are more or less just options for you guys to take a look at and assess if something seems better, one option seems better than the other for how to handle adding some dorm rooms here. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of dive into this here. And we'll come back to this, this first image. But I did want to point out at the bottom there that with the concept photos, the center one and the one to the left, that's just an example of a Murphy bed installation in a fire station. So, if we go to the first concept, maybe. So, and these are in no particular order in terms of our favorites or anything like that. So this is what we're standing in right now. So this is the second floor where the room is. I'm going to use my laser pointer here. Okay. So you all are sitting right here. There's the stairs coming up. So in this concept here, what we took a look at is taking the existing bunk room right over there, still keeping a couple bucks in that, but making that a fitness room. And then in order to keep this as a training room, the idea of installing some Murphy beds against this wall over here, and then separating those Murphy beds for privacy, because we do have multi-gender that are currently employed and will continue to be employed at the fire department here, but separating those with like a hospital curtain that's visually opaque, not acoustically opaque. So if somebody talks in their sleep, they're going to hear next door. And then with this concept also, this would be turning the chief's office into a lounge area or just a place for firefighters who are doing overnights here, someplace to hang out that isn't their bedroom, especially if, half the training room is set up. This keeps the kitchen where it is, the bathroom, and the spot over here, which is the hose tower. So the existing training room, we're going to renovate that with Murphy beds for flexible training dorm space. So when it's training time and you need all those space, flip the Murphy beds up, push the curtains against the wall. You've got your full training floor that you have now. Chief's office is renovated for the lounge. Dorm rooms renovated to create a exercise room. The kitchen remains, could be renovated if you wanted to. We're going to talk about a little later the idea of an addition, single level addition to the north, and that would accommodate new office and conference spaces. The rear outbuilding to remain, no work, and of course we'd reconfigure the parking lot for additional parking.
A question?
Yes.
All of your Murphy beds are double beds.
Well, they're not meant for two people. That's why you only see one number there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 would be the bunk.
The one in the photograph in the first also looked like double beds.
But one pillow. It's really just a generously sized Murphy bed. So they're meant to be single occupancy stall. We're not promoting anything other than single occupancy.
I was questioning the possibility that there was more capacity there.
In this option here, this is kind of the way to get more capacity is either give up more of the training room or give up the exercise room and add a couple more. You lose the exercise room and add a couple more bunks in there. So this would be, so now taking a look at the site plan, let's see if we can, let's go here. Here's that existing, where we are right now. This is the parking lot where everybody's in. So this would be a one-story addition here. So in this one-story addition, this would be just all office type uses. So we'd have and again, don't get hung up on, well, I don't think the chief should be in the northwest corner. Well, all these spaces can move around. But we've got a chief's office, an assistant chief's or deputy chief's office, some open office space for lieutenants, captains, future office space / a larger conference space there, a restroom, mechanical, janitor closet, a smaller conference space near the front door, so if people are coming by to meet with one of the fire officers, they can meet right there, and then the fire clerk's desk right there, sort of as the gatekeeper to that space. Now here's taking that same this is concept 2. So this is taking that same concept, but now let's go 2 stories. Still put an addition off to the north. Still we're going to have to reconfigure the parking. I will note that based on the current zoning, there is a 75 or 70-foot setback. These are approximations of where your property lines are, but this is the right-of-way along Blue Star. and then 70 foot from there. And we're assuming we need to, in this option, we're assuming we need to comply with zoning as opposed to going out and getting a variance. But in this option, sort of like the previous option, this first floor is meant to be the public space or where all the offices are. Again, the fire clerk near the front as the gatekeeper with a conference room, some restrooms, mechanicals here, and then this just gets a single, just the chief's office, and then deputy chief, other officers would be out here with a flexible meeting space off the side, because we need to give up some space to provide a couple stairs up to a second floor that we would have more individual dorms, a shared day room, kitchen area that could connect to this kitchen that we see over here, which is this space here. And then training remains, now this becomes just dedicated training in here.
But I see only one bathroom in both. On the second floor, only one bathroom.
Well, we have one very large bathroom, so this is 214 square feet. So we would break that up into individual shower spaces, and we just didn't get into the details of how we would get that in, but we would have an appropriate amount of fixtures.
Well, I would think they'd need a male and a female.
Yeah, yes, or unisex, so they could be either. Because you never know, if you got a shift that's got 4 men on it or 4 women on it, are they all waiting for the one, or can they, if they're unisex, then they can all be used. Either way, whether it's a men's toilet, literally a toilet, or a women's toilet, the cost is the same, the space is the same. We're just reflecting that we have space dedicated for that.
Got a question. When you put a second story on, do we have any problems with ADA compliant, like
So,
elevator?
we are not showing an elevator because everybody who's going to be operating, living, working on this level is a firefighter or an EMT, and they have to be ambulatory to do their job. You can't be a firefighter or an EMT and be in a wheelchair. So by code, we are exempt from the requirement for that. That being said, we still try to make it as ADA accessible as we can in terms of showers and door clearances and things like that. We're just not going to put it. We're proposing you don't need an elevator in there. You certainly could put an elevator in. It takes up space. It adds cost. But we did not show anything there.
It's one of the concerns about the meetings up here, always.
Yeah. So, yeah. In going in the future, perhaps meetings happen on the first floor. We do have that extra meeting space. So, in both of these schemes, we have that area here. So, again, 2 stories. Training room remains. Existing kitchen could expand and renovate. So you got decent sized kitchen space. If this is too much kitchen, we can add another bathroom here. Outbuilding stays is remaining, and I keep saying that because there's an option where we talk about that. We reconfigure the parking lot. We are suggesting there could be a truck bay addition to the south. We'll show that in a little bit. The easement becomes non-applicable, and with the zoning, we're just trying to stay constrained within the setbacks, which is 20 foot to the rear and 20 foot to the side, and then the 70 foot setback along Blue Star.
Back to the training.
Yeah.
The training room is on the second floor. I would think that would have to be ADA compliant, because you're not, there could be instructors, there could be...
That's true, there could be an instructor, but if you don't touch this space, you're not required to bring it up to code. It's a choice, you certainly choose to.
Well, adding on to the space, I would think you would have to.
If we stay under a certain percentage of the building, we don't have to do that. Okay. Now here's an addition that we looked at for the south side. So again, we're just trying to explore, like, what are all the options. So in this one here, we're 2-story addition with a training room on the first floor, with restrooms associated with that, a storage room, a little entrance. And then adding a single stall bay, like we labeled it for an ambulance, so should at some time you want to move your first responder vehicle there, or maybe an ambulance service wants to share space, here's a way to get a single bay addition to that. Then the second floor is all dorms again, with an area for exercise, a large kitchen, day room area, restrooms, and shared showers that would be individual there. This is where we're getting into that setback again, so being mindful of the 70-foot setback we have to have along Blue Star, adding some parking in front of this, because if this is now your training room and you're offering training to outside departments, it'd be nice to have the entrance. It's got its own entrance, be nice to have its own parking there. And then we would have to shift the easement, that access easement that runs through here, so that the property owner adjacent has their way. We don't believe that's a really big deal to shift that easement. But with this, the existing training rooms, chief's office dorm, this could be all renovated to become permanent office space. Second level on the south, where training's on the first floor. Dorm spaces again are on the second floor. Rear outbuilding remains as is. Do some parking lot reconfiguration. Again, constrained by setbacks. Similar look to the south, except a little bit different configuration. This adds a double deep bay, could be as long as the existing. The caution here is that obviously now we're getting into that 70-foot setback that has to occur from the line. So I'll go back one slide. You notice 70 foot was back here. So when we're doing this, we're going to, an option like this, we'd have to go for a variance in front of the township to do this. But this gets us double deep bays, the training room, restrooms, storage, and then again on the second floor, individual dorms, shared day room space, kitchen space, and restrooms and showers that'd be shared between that. This stays as is. Rear outbuilding remains, reconfigure the parking lots. And this one here, we showed an option where we actually put a parking lot to the south of the access drive that goes to the west.
Is there a kitchen in this configuration? It's downstairs, or?
We call it a kitchenette.
Okay.
Just really to serve the training. We had that's one difference between this one and the other one is this one, since it was a little bit bigger, we took up more area. We fit in a kitchenette there just because, training, if it's over on a Saturday, somehow you got to deal with coffee, donuts, lunch. Be nice to have just a quick place to clean up. We're not trying to say it's a full prep kitchen. It's more of a serving kitchen or warming kitchen. Again, just to try to give you a bunch of different options to consider. The last option is taking a look at that rear outbuilding, where essentially the first floor remains as is. You have parking in there. It could be used for a couple of ambulances, or we've shown a couple prime movers, plow trucks, whatever. And then on the second floor, the dorms, space for showers and restrooms, and then shared day room area and kitchen area, group eating space. So this is kind of showing a little bit better view of maintaining that access easement, and we've intentionally put it so it kind of aligns with that piece of land that that we want to get back to anyways. So there was some thought into that. And then, really no work happens here, so we keep the, or you could choose to do something, but again, keep this as is. We stick with the outbuilding here. Now, we're saying it's a reconstruction, so really this is a new build here. What you have now is a pole barn, right, Greg? I think this is. So, not the highest quality construction to begin with, and it's been there already, 40-some years?
Probably 60 years, Scott.
Okay. It's old enough to apply for Social Security, right?
Been there a long time.
Yeah. So, doesn't owe you anything. So, let's reconstruct it. There are some challenges with that one, because it's on its own piece of land, and we did talk to the zoning administrator just to get an opinion on this. If you look at the setbacks that are there with 20 foot all the way around, this would have to take a variance. And the variance would be, we want to build it as big as it was before, no bigger. But if this land was sitting empty right now and you tried to build something on it, it would be very tiny what you'd be allowed to build.
So you leave one wall and...
Yeah, they take that approach too. No. We could reconfigure the parking lot to get additional parking, near here, or, we've shown a little parking adjacent to it. Your truck bays essentially get added on here instead of to the existing building. There is the inconvenience, obviously, if your firefighters are in one building, and if there is a fire or something, they've got to go to another building in the rain and the winter, and we could talk about options for a covered walk or something, but there's that inconvenience. But again, if we've put your first responder vehicles in here, well, then it's pretty convenient. That's
Pretty sure they're gonna get wet anyway.
Yeah. Come on, you're firefighters, right? Yeah, and then just constrained by setbacks. And then this was just an idea. So in options 3, 4, and 5, we talked about renovating this space for offices. So in this one here, we would turn the existing bunk room here into a conference room, give Chief his entire office back instead of using it for material storage, because we'd have some office supply storage here, and then we could do, permanent open offices out on this training floor here. Yeah. So I'm going to jump back all the way to the beginning to this matrix that was set up. Just let me try this.
You blow that
Yeah,
up.
keep-
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's
I'm glad you asked.
There's no way.
The young bucks
Bottom of the glass.
the young bucks that put this together, they don't, their eyes are better than
I'd go
mine.
2 hits more if it was me, but
Yep.
there you go.
Okay, let's,
That right column, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I told, the one I told you not to pay attention to?
Yeah. now,
Yeah. So now
get
that I
an
have
idea.
control of the mouse, we'll see if you see it or not. But this sort of documents, the number of dorms we have, number of restrooms. When you see restrooms, it's just a sense of that, we will accommodate in these schemes either both male and female. Whether there's a exercise room or not, specifically in that 2-story north addition, we didn't have the space to fit in that exercise room. Maybe there's some other space for it. Maybe you turn, maybe part of this still could be exercise room. There's lots of options. But this is just, again, a matrix showing, how many offices are there, how many seats can we fit in training or conference rooms, are there any additional truck bays, approximate number of cars in the new parking lots that we'd be reconfiguring, and then this one here, which shows first story and second story, this is rough, square feet. So you can see, this is obviously a big addition at 7,000 as compared to some of the other ones, which might be, on this floor is just a little less than 4,000. So, cost. Because we're working with a couple other departments now, and this has come up, and my takeaway is I'd rather give you a sticker shock now on what the reality is that the industry is leading to. I don't make, for the sake of this study, I don't make any more money by telling you it costs less or more. I just want to give you accurate pricing. But Grand Haven Charter Township is building a new station for a combination full-time, part-time department, I believe. Well, they're trying to. They have a bond vote this May. Their preliminary budget, based on their conceptual, I call the construction manager there, is running about a little over $600 a square foot. Cascade is rebuilding Station 1. That's also running about $600 a square foot. Both those stations are similar size, 17,000, 18,000 square feet. You're obviously not talking 17 or 18,000 square feet, but they do have what we would call the economy of scale. As you get more larger things, the cost can get diluted over some of those areas. You don't have the economy of scale in most of the size of these additions, so I feel like, you know, you're, depending on what we do, your costs are going to be 600 plus a square foot is the number I would use right now for the sake of budgeting. If you get really thrifty, maybe you can do better, but is it going to last as long? We know firefighters are tough on stuff, right? The old, you know, you give two 1-inch steel ball bearings to a firefighter and put them in a locked room and come back an hour later and they'll have broken one and lost the other. That's just how we are. So we want to make sure that we're providing a durable space for them, and plus a safe space, a space that, you know, reflects the kind of work they're doing, and, you know, a space they'd be proud of. So you have this. I would, this is the column I'm going to tell you to ignore, because I think these are probably too light.
By how much?
Well, I'd have to do the math.
I got it, I did it.
Oh.
It's under, I think under 400 feet a foot.
So around 400? Yeah, so it's probably
These are at 400? Hey, so I've got it right over
So
here.
it's a
probably around
half
50%. Probably, yeah, 50%.
The second one down would be like 3.685
I was
million
gonna
now,
say, 6.
Yeah.
using his number now,
Yeah.
3
or
million.
650 a square foot.
And like I said, you don't pay me any more for raising the numbers here. I just want to be. I'd hate to have you go like, oh, let's do that $1.8 million option, and then bids come in and it's, you know, 2.6. You're like, what happened, Steve? No, yeah. I mean, you've heard all about inflation. It's artificially hit the construction industry more than, you know, like, well, inflation's only 8%. Why is this 50% more? The construction industry has been artificially hit. The trades, I mean, material costs have gone up. You know, you all know what a sheet of plywood or a 2x4 costs. And there's so many people that are busy. There's no contractors available to do the work, so you pay a premium for that. And there's just less of them, you know. So all those things have gotten together, and, you know, costs went up. What we have seen is a lot of the volatility that we were predicting or have been trying to manage has gone away, so it's more stable. So we, instead of a wide variance in prices, we feel like we can, you know, most people can price a little bit more accurately now, but the costs aren't necessarily going to go down, they're just going to stabilize. Now, if we get some massive recession and everybody's looking for work, then yeah, things could change, but I don't know. My crystal ball isn't that good. I would just go with the idea that it's never going to cost cheaper than it is now. It's going to cost more in the future, whenever that future is, you know.
Clyde, you're going.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, you know, we're doing the township building remodel, and we found that 78% of our funds were from ARPA grants and donations and things, so we're happy about that. Do we have a plan for
Well, we don't
or to
get
pay for
the
something?
COVID funds like you guys did.
You don't get that?
We're not a city,
Okay.
so that's a disadvantage of the district.
And-
after, you know, Lake Town got $200,000, we don't get
Okay.
anything, we don't get any marijuana money
No.
like the municipalities.
Yeah.
So we're drawing the short
No
straw there.
grants or
What we're
anything,
gonna
we
pay
just
this
like-
is you're gonna have to raise a millage.
And we also came with a lot of surprises that we weren't expecting, like there was no installation, period, none. Asbestos, things like
Yeah.
that we were not counting on. Do you expect that in this
I mean,
building, or?
the age of this building, there could be asbestos. I don't know if Greg or Chris knows if it's necessarily here. You know, I think you know, the number I feel comfortable, I would say comfortably, if there's a reasonable amount, we could deal with that.
Mhm.
Have we done soil borings on the site to make sure we got good soils? No, like, you could find out that somebody buried 10 feet of topsoil there, and we can't build on top of that. So, still more investigation, you know, needed for that. Yeah, like with the ARPA funds, the best that I imagine this district can do is go to your member districts and say, would you offer to donate to us some of your ARPA funds? Because if you had a fire station, you might consider spending it on it, but your fire station is
Well,
the authority.
That's the hard part, is
Yeah.
they're getting the money, we're not.
Yep, yep,
And not everybody's getting money.
Right.
yep.
Contact doesn't have any.
Steve, do these numbers include suppression of the building and bringing in water and sewer as well too, or did we?
I think we felt like we were comfortable in saying we bring the utilities in. Were we gonna, and suppress the addition?
Right.
I don't know that we talked about,
Yeah,
adding
we're
it.
bringing in the sewer and water, in this
Yeah.
part of it. We can't do anything here unless we bring in
You
sewer.
do have it out in the road, it's reasonably close.
Clearwater's back here, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think sewer's out there, and that was where they were fine with tapping, and then water, they preferred that we come in from the backside.
Gotcha.
You know, in some initial conversations with the water department.
Chief, how old is this building?
It was built in '87. The pricing I did on this was, varied from $314 a foot to $385 a foot.
Yeah. So maybe, in some cases, you might easily double it, the 318 up to 636. If you were 87, you should have missed, unless somebody snuck some asbestos in, you shouldn't have any asbestos or any lead paint. If you got a boiler, you might have like asbestos in the boiler lining, but if you don't have, if you got all air handlers, yeah, it's not there.
I don't
So.
think we'll have any of that.
But like, the site, you know, is always an unknown. Is it sufficient for the weight? Did somebody bury something? Was some portion of this a former dump for somebody? We're doing, there's no such thing as a free site. There's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free site, right? So we're helping out City of Hastings, and they're like, we want to put it here. And we did borings, and because they said, oh, you know, Bessemer used to use that for their dump. Well, it's all filled with various fill that might be structural stable, but there's a lot of voids in it. So they're gonna, part of the solution when they choose to move is we're gonna have to sink pilings down, because the site itself, there is the possibility of too much movement, too much settlement, and that's just, you know, not good for a building, so, you know.
Do you typically use like systems or actual fixed walls and things when you do the offices and things, or?
My experience has been primarily with fixed walls. I've seen, you know, furniture walls or temporary walls, you know, like Hayworth, I know you guys got.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Good thing with that. There's nothing wrong with those. You pay a premium the first time. If you reconfigure a lot, you see that savings back. If you're not doing reconfiguration, you see that go away. The building we used to be in got bought by, where our office is here in Grand Rapids, got bought by Spectrum Health, and on the first floor they put in a bunch of, we call it furniture walls, right? Full height and all that. And they were there like 7, 8 years, and then they moved out to renovate it all, and I never saw those walls get moved, and I'm half expecting if I went back today, like all those walls are just going to be gone. They will have spent money on them, and not reconfigured at all. Maybe they, and since they don't pay taxes because they're a hospital, they didn't necessarily see the big financial benefit of depreciating furniture over a shorter time frame than a fixed asset. But that's for you and your business people to help figure out, You certainly do it, but you don't have enough offices really.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I think at the most we were talking about an office for, Greg and Chris. And could you build, to use demountable partitions, that's a better word for it,
Okay.
or like storage rooms? And probably not. That's a really expensive wall for a storage room. Wouldn't use it for restrooms. You could use it for conference rooms, but again, you only got like one per, so not sure the value's there. But if somebody wants to donate them for you, that's great. We'll use them. Or you can use them. I should say, after this study is, the idea with the study was give you these concepts, figure out a preferred concept, and then we tweak that concept, get it a little more hardline, put a better cost to it, and then give you back something that you could take and,
Do you,
have it fun.
So go ahead.
do you have a column in there? Did I miss it for a number of beds?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So it ranges anywhere from, on the low end, 7 to on the high end 9, but even that 9, one of those options is usually like a pull-out sleeper couch just to get an extra spot. I think 6 to 8 was the desire, so all of them would satisfy that. And just go with the colors. So there's 5 options. That's why you see 5 numbers and don't necessarily see a lot of those white boxes because the beds are either on one floor or the other. They're not on 2, which is why you just do it in one column.
I do feel if we're gonna do a remodel or whatever, that we should get this type of room downstairs for the public and our board members and things like that have had difficult times sometimes, I think.
So that
We really should consider that a
Oh, let's move
priority.
it to the township office.
Okay.
That's what we
Yeah.
used to do.
There you go. Well, we could, yeah.
Or an elevator to get you guys up here.
Yeah, if we're gonna go to all this trouble, we should maybe.
That would tend to lead you to, if you're talking about a training room, I mean, that tended to lead you with, option 1, where we had like some breakout space on the first floor here, right here. So, oh sorry, this is option 2, but option 1, both of them had some space here where you could set up and allow the, depending, unless you have a hotly contested fire authority meeting, and maybe then you just move it to someplace else where you need more seating. But if most
We've had those.
these fine gentlemen here, you could probably account for it in this one. So option 1 and option 2, you got that's on the main floor. Option 3, you could do it in the training room. Which I know that's kind of what you're doing here, but maybe live with a different configuration. We've got, there's plenty of space where that could happen. Same thing with option 4. The only one that really doesn't count for that is the 5th option, where you do essentially your dorm additions and everything out in that remote building, because we didn't set up a conference space there. Offices and conferencing space would be here. So really, you got 4 options where you could accommodate a board meeting on the first floor.
Do you have like CPR classes usually in here
Yes.
typically? So.
That'd be the training room. So in all of those, we kept 5. This training room stays here, so that would be a bad one for ADA accessibility. But in option, the other way, option 3 and 4, you got a big training room on the first floor. Yeah, that's probably your best ones. Option 3 and 4, which is the addition to the south, where we put training on the first floor. And you may decide that your preferred option is 2.5, which is somewhere between option 2 and option 3. Can you do? you know, you don't have to distinctly pick one of these options. It could very well be some combination of these options. We find that that happens very often. We're like, oh, I like option 2, where it's a 2-story addition, but we want it with the training floor. Okay, well, let's take a look at that and, you know, come up with that.
Option 2 is the only one that utilizes this full kitchen though, right? Did I get that right? Option 1 is just lower
Well,
level.
In 3, 4, and 5, we said we're gonna renovate this for fire officers, and we could renovate the kitchen at the same time.
Well, I mean, even like the outbuilding, I didn't see a kitchen, so if they're out there and...
There's a kitchen in that option, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this orange color that you see here is kind of that kitchen, so.
But that's for that...
There's a
Oh, okay,
kitchen.
I see, orange color.
There's a kitchen there on the second floor, and then there's a kitchen on the second floor. So, yeah, anytime we provided dorms, we put the kitchen and the toilet and showering facilities on that same floor. So, it's, you know, when they're, it's also just the idea of, you know, their private getaway space, like, the public isn't gonna be walking in on them, you know, they're, you know, it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and they're like off their, you know, duty shift, and they're trying to enjoy dinner, maybe FaceTime the family, whatever it is, or do some reading, or, you know, I know Chris is probably a big Dungeons and Dragons person, so he's probably trying to get, I think he's are you 5th level mage now? Okay.
Don't even know what that means.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right, so if nobody else has any more questions, we can kind of keep this, let it cook, see what we think, and...
Ruminate about it, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted
Thank
to
you
kind
for-
of create an awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for running the,
How about that?
through this for us.
Oh, that's a good
and-
time.
And we have a whole board meeting, so...
I can talk
thank
for a
you.
long time.
So, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
Absolutely. I brought another paper copy if somebody would like it, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, move on to request for payment. Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills of $122,067.40.
Motion by Phelps, a second by Fox. Is there any discussion? Is there any questions about the bills?
I guess it wasn't important.
All right, so hearing no discussion, can we have a roll call vote to pay the bills, please?
Yes, Phelps,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Bridgepoint,
Yes.
and North.
Yes.
Passes 6-0, Madam Chair.
Okay, can we have the financial report, please?
Okay, so I guess item B, I can't tell what page that is, it's the whole expenditure. So on the revenues, the taxes have basically been collected, we're waiting for the delinquent taxes from the county, and I know the city of Saugatuck, we just got the check in the mail today, so those numbers that are on available balances of 10.5 from the city of Saugatuck, 10.5 or 40,500 from the township, and 16.8 from Douglas. We should have those funds by the next board meeting. And then you farther down, you see the parentheses around the 18,000, the 30,000, the 26,000, the 22, and the 3. That's excess revenues that we've collected basically in permit fees and cost recovery and some grants. That when we make a budget adjustment probably next month, that's excess revenues compared to what we budgeted a year ago. You can see the other items, the expense side going farther down the page. You know, the payroll is starting to, we're gonna have a budget adjustment for the payroll. You can see the retirement cost, that's over budget currently. That's about the only one. And there's a couple on the second page with long-term capital, but we've got a budget adjustment to do because we paid a couple grants out of there. We're waiting for the revenue side of the grant. And the truck payment insurance was a little bit higher than what was budgeted. But I think overall the budget, we're push some numbers around with the budget adjustment. we got excess revenues here that I think will be in fairly decent shape, what we planned a year ago. I don't know if anybody's got any line item questions, or...
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Peter.
We'll keep paying the bills.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to the fire chief's comment.
Okay, thank you.
Can I interrupt you? Did we do roll call?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I think so. I've got it
We
all
didn't
marked.
talk
Yeah.
about Poland, that's why I just wanted to...
Oh, did she call you?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
excused with
Yeah.
permission. She thought she would be here next month. Okay, moving on, I'm sorry.
Sure, no, that's all right. Yeah. Dashboard, I guess would be helpful for the board to realize is this is the 7th month out of 9 months that we've had an increase. You're up about 6%. 6%, and that's always a good thing to share with our residents. Notable wise, I made some notes. What's different, I see overlapping calls, from last year, 2022, it's an increase of 72%. We averaged 33% so far of overlapping calls. I won't go through all these, but I can tell you that on 196 incidents in 2023, there's been, we've got 21 hours into this already, so there's been a lot of lengthy calls in 2023, and we're just into the 4th month. Road closures on 196 in 2023, on 15 incidents, we've had 4 full closures. Kind of a escalating amount right there, so. Also on page 44 is accidents at Blue Star intersections. We started tracking this when we called attention to Old Allegan Blue Star. Eric tracked it. We were able to get data in there where we were not, it wasn't shared, it was a property damage only, and we didn't respond. We were disregarded. So Eric has made this more accurate as far as the numbers that increased because there's calls we did not respond. So this reflects law enforcement, public safety numbers overall. So it's an increase. That's what's, so I wanted to point out charts that have been altered for the better.
That 64th Street is where the light is, and when did that light install?
I had that written down, I think that was 2015?
2008.
2008?
Yes.
Has it helped?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, that was, I know, I talked to Jane Wright about that. That was a long time ago on that, you're right. Yeah, that's.
So that 64th is kind of skewed.
Yeah, right.
Is that the Burger King road? or no?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I don't know my road.
That's right.
It's the only stoplight.
We don't know half the time.
How we don't,
But I think
before
we-
so-and-so lives.
We showed 24, didn't we, that we responded to for Old Allegan Blue Star, Eric? Wasn't it 24 originally?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It was around that number, yeah.
So just kind of some different ways of looking at it. So that's what I have. If there's no questions, I'll move on quickly. Michigan fire statistics. And I don't know if this recent death, there was a death in Allegan just the other day. The chief contacted me. It was Saturday, and it was a death down there. So out of 38 fires, 41 people have lost their lives in Michigan, which we are always unhappy to report.
It's a lot for this early in the year.
It sure is. Community risk reduction, I'm happy to share with you that Wendy, one of our instructors, has taught 21 citizens CPR. She's also taught 28 professional CPR AED students, so she's got just about 50 people underneath that she's done, and she just started. So. Next up, grants, I guess that's for you, Jane, if you want to mention it, or you want me to? Number 10C. So we are going to upgrade our dash cams. They're antiquated, they don't have enough memory, so we are applying for a grant. We'll see what happens. They helped us out last time, we'll see what happens this time. But
How long have we had those?
2017, so
4 or 5 years, I mean, I think we got an initial group, and then we got added some on, we got
Yeah.
some more.
Yep, or no, sorry, the initial grant was 2016, so.
Longer than I thought.
Yeah. That's what I said too.
Next up is certifications. Riley Capel, one of our 24-hour shift people, has achieved Fire Officer 1, so congratulations to Riley Capel. Cost recovery, really excited to share with you, out of 3 cost recovery incidents, we collected just under $16,000.
How is that relative to what was billed roughly?
It was probably 45,000 outstanding. So one of them was a $10,000 payment. One that was, never had this before, one of them was billed about $4,300, and they said the insurance was capped at $1,000. So we sent the bill back to, balance back to the owner of the truck.
So, is this all, I'm making no judgment on this, is this all we're gonna get? Right?
No, we're still working on it.
So this is 15 or 16,000 of a total request?
About 45,000.
45.
And we have to, I heard you say we were sharing it with other departments.
So out of the 16, let's just say 16,000, I think we owed about 3,500. Grascup had 2 payments, and then Hamilton 1. Right, Peter?
Yep, they're on the bills and listed, and when you see on the finance sheet, the revenue side versus cost, that's the real number, because I just deposited all in the cost recovery, then I paid them out of those funds, so it's not, like, it's not overgrossing those revenues, so those are the net revenues.
And that includes my chief comments, Jim.
Any questions? Okay, we have no unfinished business. New businesses, we're gonna start talking about the proposed budget review and discussion. And what comes up over and over at the station, which is becoming a real issue, is paid on call and staffing the fire station. Right now, we're at minimal staffing, we have no time for people to take vacations, nobody has time to get sick, we're always looking for people to work. So, we're gonna have to start changing our philosophy of how we staff the fire station. We need to either hire more part-time people, or we need to hire more full-time people. Greg thinks we need 3 more full-time people?
24-hour shift.
Yeah, 3 more 24-hour shifters. So, we're gonna have to raise the millage. I don't see any other way to do this. Maybe you might have some ideas, but this is becoming very critical. The whole dorm study thing fits into this as well. We just have to change the way we do business now. When I started, 10, 11 years ago with the fire district, we were at 1.1 mils. We didn't, or no, we were a little higher than that, maybe Eric, you're great ones for keeping track of that.
I have it in my office, but I don't
But-
remember.
Right.
Yeah, we were so low, we had no capital improvement plan, we had nothing. So, we've slowly built this, we've done a good job, but it's time to make a move. We need way more money in our capital improvement plan. Truck repairs are becoming absolutely ridiculously expensive. So we just need more money to operate on. And for the last few years, we've operated on the expansion of Saugatuck, Douglas, the building industry and taxes from that, but it's not cutting it anymore. We just can't do this anymore, so
With a 5% increase in taxes, it's not gonna help.
we don't get any of that.
Well, I mean, the taxable value is up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we don't get the taxes from that.
Well, I mean, the revenues, if you, what's in front of you is based on 2.2 mils, and that's what we've levied you for
Right.
the last
So
4 years.
I'm suggesting that we go to at least 2.4, maybe 2.5. I mean, we just have to do something, and we have to hire some people. And because of the seasonal rental issue, there's no place for people to live. There's no place to buy to live. I mean, when absolute teardowns sell for over $500,000, we have to do something. We have to make a move now. Either we build dormitories. I don't think any of the plans I saw today were adequate for what we need. It looks like a big Band-Aid to me, maybe not. But I think we need to plan for the future, and that might work for next year, but what's it gonna work for in the future? I think we just have to do something. If we're gonna become an area of seasonal rentals, which we are fast becoming, then we need to deal with that issue, that there's no place for people to live, and we have to hire people outside of the community. And more, we have to hire people outside of the community, and we have less and less areas for them to sleep. We have people sleeping in recliners, that's a fold-out couch. There's people in the dorm room. I mean, I quite frankly wouldn't want to sleep in that dorm room with hardly any ventilation and 6 men. It just it doesn't do it for me, so.
Jeez, I would have thought that'd be your wildest dream.
Well, I know, but no.
Shows you what I know.
Doesn't do a thing for me.
I guess what we really need to do is look at the big picture and
We
Don't-
absolutely do.
don't half-ass us.
I
Because
absolutely.
we're talking about ambulance services, which means equipment and people. We're talking about a dorm. I mean, do I wanna pay more taxes? No, but we all have to. It's part of life.
Right, and that 70-foot setback doesn't do anything. I guess we need to do some negotiations with the township, and, you know, we need more room.
Well, that
to
was, it was
expand.
my concern, that we look at everything kind of all at once to the extent we can, because
Yeah.
doing 3 of these moves is not a good answer, I don't think. And moves in terms of increasing the millage to do this, and then we'll do it, increase it a little more to do that, and then we'll give it a real big one for that. I mean,
Yeah, that's
they're gonna
efficient.
scream bloody murder, as opposed to, that's what, I was thinking the same thing. What I didn't see in the architect's thing is, what's our big wish? What,
Yeah.
if we had it, that's why I asked the question how old this structure is. It's 40 years old. None of the schools are 40 years old anymore. Far from it. So,
Yeah, but
And
they just
people-
they just renovated those schools.
I
and
understand
It's
that.
kind of the same thing here.
but it's this, we're kind of in the same sort of place, and, you know, I'd almost rather try and see what the whole nut
Yeah.
might be.
Right, what we would.
How bad is it? You know, is that I don't know, I'm not gonna use numbers. How bad is it, going big, but conceivably giving the community the chance to weigh in, and being able to say, to mass all of the needs together. My fear is, if we tackle them separately, they're gonna be, you know,
Your Band-Aid, isn't it?
it's gonna be a Band-Aid thing, and it's gonna be a harder sell for each successive one, because it's like, wait a minute, I thought you got the money last time. You know, I looked at these with, you know, the 5 or 6 of those things, and I know you've said before, there are issues in where the vehicles are now. None of that's addressed, and in one, we add places for 3 more vehicles, I think, if I counted right. One is 2 more vehicles, and in one, it's 1 more vehicle. That's the kind of thinking
Yeah.
you know.
this is how I do business. If If you're gonna do something, do it right, or don't do it at all.
Well, and that's like,
And,
if you
and I
did.
think we need to do it right.
If you at least gave the community the option
Right.
of a full-up, first-class, you know, conceivably using bits of this, but they're gonna see an entirely new facility here. I think from the standpoint of getting people to buy into something, I think that's easier in some sense than it is to add a few dorm rooms here and a truck bay here and a this there over there. It's just people go, oh my God, you know, so we are being, you know, it's a first-class department, it deserves a first-class facility. Boom, end of story.
But I think everything we wanna do, we should put a price tag on it, and then figure out what that price tag is, and figure out what the millage we would need to
Yes,
get there.
Right.
Exactly.
And then look at prioritizing those 3 things or 4 things that we want and need, I should say, and say, this is priority 1, you know, and go to the public and talk to them, and have an open meeting, come have a presentation on everything that we're talking about.
I'm kind of at the point where I think we should tear down the building in the back, build a dorm room, build toilet facilities. I couldn't believe it when the guy goes, well, you can get by with this. No, you can't. You wouldn't put up with that if you were working. I mean, we need to build a dorm room with toilet facilities, kitchen facilities, and then if that's on the second floor, good, that gives them some kind of privacy, and then add as much as we can downstairs as far as bays to park in. You would probably want to park the first responder vehicles there. And if they're gonna go fight a fire, they're gonna get wet, so if it's raining out, what difference does that make? But we need to do this all the way, or don't bother. I mean, when you start slapping Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid, and adding and adding and adding to a building, you've got a building with a bunch of add-ons. That's just expensive.
What are you using that back building for now, just storage?
Yeah.
So it's gotta, you can't, there's an asphalt floor. You park a truck on it, it sinks. So we had to put plate steel on where we put one engine.
I mean,
I-
the building was built by firemen. I mean, it wasn't built. It's a
I would like
fire.
to hear what our leader would prefer. I know we can look at all this stuff and say that we can save money there, what do you need?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
does he need 6 beds? Well, if we have 9, maybe we grow into it, but I'd rather have too many than not
Not
enough.
enough.
Absolutely.
So I could give you a couple minutes summary, if that would help you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, some of this I shared with you, so Kathy wasn't here. Number 1, we owe it, we need suitable dorm room, okay? Number 1, you need staffing. So we kind of have 3 things. Priority is, you need more staffing. Paid on Call is doing this. Everyone, I just been at a conference, everybody's having trouble. Every week I've got to fill the schedule because I don't have people. Now people are going on vacation. They're taking off, they're working 3 days a
Thank
week.
God.
You know, so, hey, get them to take time off. Who's gonna cover the 24-hour shift? I don't have one person that'll cover a 24-hour shift. They have to trade between themselves, so then he's on 36 hours. Your number 1 problem, my problem is staffing. So, even if we go BLS, consider this. Chris and I gave Chris my thoughts, he penned them. We had a 2-story right here, up to the parking lot. First floor is just like
I can throw them up there.
throw it up there, please.
This is what we initially gave the architect, and it didn't exactly come back the way we...
Imagine that.
Well, there might be reasons. So keep in mind, elevator here, okay? Over there, there's a hallway, there's dorm rooms on each side. Mechanical room, because the mechanicals are down there. Hole through the wall, you join onto the kitchen. So you have offices, room for the state police. Get the state police out of township. Get them out of there.
I think it's better if they're here anyway.
Here at the school.
For the taxpayers, it's the best thing.
The public
You
safety.
give it free, you just say, hey, your lease is up,
Yeah.
whatever. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
Okay?
we'd like it.
You put a two-story, you remodel this kitchen, sewer, water, this becomes the training room, the dorm rooms are over here, so you gain offices, two-story, accessible to public walk-in, elevator for ADA. Trust me, this is the way to do it. You cannot build to the south
No.
until I can get an easement from Safe Harbor. Because we don't own the property. You can't put an overhangs in the back building, we don't own the property. There's easements. That's the problem. We have an easement going back to Maple, 20 feet for the water main, right, Scott? So, we can talk all we want, spend $5 million building to the south, and we're gonna be pulling out on Blue Star Highway to back a truck in. This chief will not do that. So, Chris, we just did a simple thing. Look at the dorm room, look what we achieve here. And there's going to be no opaque curtains between rooms.
I don't like it.
Oh, no.
And you got-
And you have a men's and a women's restroom.
Yeah.
And they're huge in square footage too, by the way.
Well, yeah.
This was up my vision. Remember, we are on septic. You gotta get us off of septic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So, 6 people, as you know, I have nothing to hide here, we are over occupancy in there.
Yeah.
That's why they're out on the floor. But, not only that, this is long-range planning. I don't see how the calls are gonna go down. Okay? We're doing more and more. So, to me, this is a good bang for the buck.
It is.
All right?
That's much better.
Yeah, essentially, was going up this way, and what it is it's going on, and you connect the building, here's your elevator, right here, elevator shaft, bathroom, a commercial men's and women's bathroom, one on each side.
With showers.
No residential stuff.
The showers, yeah.
You get what you pay for, and then these would be just individual sleeping rooms. This is and plenty, you've got plenty here.
They don't have to
What?
be large.
Does that make sense?
Why didn't they take your concept and put it?
I don't know.
Because this makes total sense to me.
Yep.
The one going perpendicular to this,
Made no sense.
well, kind of did, because you're tying into the
Yeah.
kitchen, just kind of like this.
The catch to this one is we have to get a variance because we're only like 15 feet off the front setback. But in my initial conversation with Lene, she didn't see that being a problem because we're staying in the footprint
Existing
of
building,
the existing building.
yeah.
We're not going closer
Right.
to Blue Star.
Yeah.
And she said it's not up to me, it'd be up to the ZBA, but you've got a pretty good argument for making it, since all you're doing is extending your existing walls to the north.
Well, you're adding 3 walls instead of turning this thing, and
Right.
we're still adding a lot of square footage on.
And you could do the roof line so it drops, so you
Yeah.
don't have a flat, you know, there's things that are appealing to this investment-wise, and long-range planning-wise, and cost-wise. So this is what I liked, and we don't know why he didn't do whatever.
And then the first floor was similar. The only thing I screwed up is this is actually an elevator. Because the elevator has to go to both floors, not just one.
Wow.
Well, we're not architects, but Chris
Otherwise, it
can
wouldn't
make...
be much to address.
The walking
See,
bridge to nowhere.
Here's, you walk in, okay, you can have a little conference with some people. Here would be a Michelle, office, so, okay, so township talks, all right, let's have the state police here.
There's room.
I want a
And
private
Douglas, let's get
conference
Douglas here.
room. I want a place here where you can carry on a conversation and not worry about 17 people listening to it. I want a conference room. I want offices where people can go work in offices. How much work can you get done in a workstation today? I mean, if you really need an office, then you need an office.
Well, I think the elevator is a must, if you're gonna have
I do
meetings.
too.
I don't care if all the firemen aren't handicapped, but like you said, trainers coming in could be. We have a
Yeah,
two-story press box at that beautiful football field, and we can't use the second story of it because someone decided that that wasn't ADA accessible, but someone else signed off on it. I don't want the same thing here.
My advice to board would be, I would encourage you to do an elevator. You've
Yeah.
got to do that. Cover yourself. You can't be building this like a pole barn. All this served its purpose in the day. We would never have got off the ground. I think I saw the original price on this was like $275. Well, back then, that's a lot of money. A lot
But
of
I
money.
still think you have to put in an elevator. I mean, I
Yeah.
come from a long line of architects, and I don't think that's legal.
I agree with you.
Although, I think
This would probably be a
this,
lot cheaper doing it this way too.
when I first priced this out, I think a two-story, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, as you always do. I'm kidding. I think we were,
Just let him
like-
tell it.
we were at like $1.3 million. I know that's a lot of money, you know.
Well, every other option's at least 3 times that, from what I see.
And to me, this does it, so say, let's go to the third phase. What's the third phase? BLS, okay? You've got 2 first responder vehicles, those have to be replaced, okay? So ambulance.
Yeah.
So that's immaterial. So I don't see, you know, the big advantage is if you could expand down there, you could build a 2-story. You're crazy to do a 1-story.
No.
You need 2-story. This is built, concrete, it's solid, we sprinkle it, as we're gonna have to, somebody sleeping in it. To me, and then we're not spending $5 million tearing it out and building a new station. I can't wrap my head around that.
This makes sense.
Even if, based on the rough square footage of this, using his $600 a square foot number, it's like 2.43 million. So it's still, comparative to what I think when we started this was 2019, is the day I drew these anyway. So I think what the number Chief just used was back then, and obviously construction prices have changed considerably in 4 years. And that's probably a little bit on
I think you're probably talking $130,000 to bring in sewer, bring in the water. But
And then
you
this-
can't be on, we got a little 2-inch main that's 40 years old back there too.
It's probably lead.
It's only about a
That
1 inch.
explains a lot.
It's only about a 1 inch going to the back barn.
Yeah.
No, that bathroom was condemned a long time ago.
There were other options like, building to the south and then taking some of the truck bay rooms and turning those into offices and just shifting to the south. Again, the problem was, I think that's a real limited footprint what you could build there with setbacks.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you could build what you could build there. And you certainly can't drive around without an official, and I've tried with RJ, tried 3 years. I've approached Safe Harbor twice. Well, then they had that big fire up in Muskegon.
Oh, yeah.
Says, now's not time to talk to them for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it kinda is. They need us. You can strong arm them, right here.
Just give, we have a great working relationship with them. Just terrific.
So, I know after last year, this probably isn't the best time to ask for more money, but I don't know how else we can do this.
Is 2.5 gonna be enough?
I don't know.
It won't be.
I
Because
don't know.
you're gonna be talking about staffing is not
What-
included in that.
What
Whatever's-
did you say, Mills brings us to?
Right now, so I guess back to Scott's original question, 5%. So the increase in property tax revenue is about, $180,000 over last year.
Over last year, with the taxes.
With the taxes, just leaving it at 2.2. So a tenth of a mil currently raises $85,000 with the values that the entities have today. So,
And we're at what, 2.2 now?
Yeah.
2.2,
So you go to 2.5, you're adding 3.
$250,000.
That's not enough.
Well, it's...
This is a dumb question, but, are all the mills that the voters have approved, are they all levied each year?
No. So the mill, for the fire department, the way, the statute that we're under, we can levy up to 10 mills
Without going to the voters?
without going to the voters. But they can do a referendum too on you, so that's, you know, tomorrow. They can do, it doesn't take much if you read the law, and there's people here that got, somebody that's an attorney or time to, it doesn't take much to have a referendum to put it back to the vote of the people, so. But I guess we're here tonight, we need to decide, and this is short, we gotta plan the budget for now, I mean, so what, either we leave it at 2.2, but if they want more staffing for this year, or, I don't know, so we need to have something to propose, or we're going to have a special meeting for the next board meeting. We have to basically get a budget put together to present to Douglas, Saugatuck, and Saugatuck, so their board members can go in front of them and
Okay,
get approved.
and while we're talking about this, what do you, the board members, think of having that meeting all together when we present the budget to the township, Saugatuck and
My
Douglas?
hearing aids.
Oh. Saugatuck, Douglas, and Saugatuck Township, all at the same time. If you have questions, we can answer them. I think it's a good way to do it, but
How are you thinking? I like it, but how would you invite them to our meeting?
yes, the entire board from each community comes to the meeting.
I
Then we-
think that always should have been the way it
Yeah, I
happened.
do too. And I think that's how it's supposed to be done. It's never been done that way, but I think that's how it's supposed to be done. So I would propose that we have this meeting, and we'll set it up so the township's there, Douglas is there, Saugatuck's there, and the fire board is over here, and we'll get this all done at the same meeting.
That'd be good. I'm sure our board would not have a problem with that.
Well, when you say, they would still have to vote on it
Yeah, you
at
have
their
to-
own
Right, they
meeting.
wouldn't be able to vote on it right then.
But answering the questions and
They can see
keeping
why
them
we're
warm,
doing what we're doing.
warm and
A lot
fuzzy.
of
That's
times.
why I think we need to spell it out.
Yeah.
Like, we need 2.8, no. This is the addition that we need, and this is why we need it, staffing.
And this is why we need this capital improvement plan. We just, everybody, if they happen to notice that I have that statue that I got a long time ago, they'll say, oh, are you with the fire department? And they go, oh, do you have volunteer fire department? And I go, nobody has a volunteer fire department anymore. That just does not happen. And it's very hard to have a paid-on-call fire department. You either have to give them a job or don't give them a job. It's what it's kind of boiling down to, is it not? So we need to make people understand that. And I love this. The last 911 board meeting, the fire department gets called the Swiss Army knife of 911. If you don't know who else to give it to the fire department.
That was the actual term.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous, and sometimes when you sit and listen to calls, which I often do because I like to know what you guys are doing, that's what it is. It's ridiculous calls, or it's things, the last fire, that forest fire they had the other day, the grass fire that went on forever, they're calling station after station after station, we need more help, we need more help, we need more help. And there wasn't any, so.
Well, I guess going back to, I know I presented one time at the township, and one of the questions was how much the chief is making, and I broke it down per hour. And I basically threw it back in their face and say, you make more than the chief does, and you do less. So I think if you spell it out to people, and you let them know what you're spending their tax dollars on, and justify it, it's a hell of a lot easier to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what, after the fire department has come to your house and assisted you, you'll give them whatever they want.
That's true.
But that has to happen first, because they just don't understand what
Well,
we do.
I don't
it's
think
an
that
insurance
people are aware
policy.
of,
What we do.
well, the issues surrounding getting staffing due to housing and things like that. I don't think they think that, like, if your house is on fire, you're dependent on some guy driving from the north end of Holland
Right.
to get into this. I think part of it's gonna be just a PR campaign
Mhm.
that makes people aware, because I think if they think of that, then they're gonna go, oh.
Or you've got an engine and 2 guys coming from Costco, and you might have 3 guys coming from Lee Township, and then maybe, that's how it happens. Benville, Hamilton.
There was just one down
Nebraska.
by Coldwater. Guy came from a campground in Indiana to come up. He was on vacation, he came up from Indiana camping to fight the fire.
I mean, it's,
I never thought till I came here the first day with Chief Janet that people actually slept in
Oh,
this room.
I
And-
think you're right, and I think when you mention things like dormitory space, if you start there, people are gonna go, what?
yeah.
For what? You know,
Yeah.
because they completely lack that understanding. I think if
Well,
you
and I'm
start.
not saying it was very neat and very tidy, but I would not want it to.
No, I agree with you. Oh, are you kidding?
Well, that makes two even less, so your vote doesn't count.
Speaking of walk-in closets, but.
So I think I could get you to go the other way, but.
So I guess the other thing is, we got a lot of people in this town that are older, and they remember when the Hayworth was here, and the twisting factory, and local businesses that volunteer firemen, the bell went
Good
off,
wait.
they got
Good
here,
word.
and went like this. We don't have industry here anymore.
And
So
we,
everybody's
even
here.
our city workers can't leave. I know in Sagatuck, they cannot leave, go to fire.
Again, to Kathy's point, in terms of selling this to the boards, for one, and maybe ultimately to the taxpayers, if who's necessary. I think you've got to start from service, from what we do and what it takes to do what these guys do. And in that process, you disabuse them of the notion that, you know, all these notions that are faulty about where, you know, people are just living around here, they're only coming from 6 blocks away, right? No, they're coming from here. And then that sets up why we need to have housing, or we can't staff, and if we can't staff, we can't, old people, we can't get to you when you've fallen and can't get up, or you're, you know, defibs, whatever it is. This is, so you build this thing out of proper facilities and resources to provide the level of service you deserve and you need. Not only are we becoming a short-term rental community, we're becoming an older and older and older community of the people who are left. So you put that in, you put in the increased calls year on year on year, there are more demands being placed on the department with, in a sense, fewer dedicated resources to meet those demands.
But then this all fits in right along with that, the big discussion right now about short-term rentals. I don't know how you will ever stop short-term rentals.
You won't.
Good luck with that.
No.
As Henry Van Sinkle used to say, the camel has his nose under the tent. It's gone. That needed to happen 10, 15 years ago. So, with that happening, and, you know, how many times do you hear, well, restaurants can't get any help because
Right.
there's no place for them to live. Okay, I guess don't build a 2-story bar and build a dormitory. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
the
sorry.
couple in South Haven that own the Black River bought a house, and they use that as a dormitory, and that's a selling point for them.
Yeah, and I heard another one up north does that too, rents roofs for their help. So
Yes.
they have help for the
Yeah.
summer.
That's what Kelvin's does.
Jane, I have to go because, we have a workshop meeting,
Oh,
and we're not
sorry.
gonna have a quorum if I don't show up.
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay,
I got an
before you
idea,
leave,
I
do you
can
want-
explain to Kathy later on.
Okay, do you want to have a special meeting? It sounds like we're gonna have.
I think we're gonna, because we gotta present
Do you
something.
have a date
in order.
we could, run it by them? I mean, do we wanna try and pick a date?
Yeah.
For the budget
No, no,
presentation or the special meeting?
just a special meeting for us to meet to talk
Oh,
about
about
the
the
budget.
budget.
Yeah,
Oh.
not to bring the
No,
councils
no.
in,
Okay.
just
Yes.
us.
Are the councils going to vote when they're all together?
No,
I don't think they
No,
can.
this is just a.
They could.
They could, but they're not
I
gonna
thought
want
the
to.
goal was that we
Informative.
vote
Well,
together.
I think it's better that they absorb what we're giving them instead of a knee-jerk reaction
I
like
agree.
no or yes.
Okay, next Monday?
I'm done.
I'll be out of town.
When do you come back?
June.
A week from Monday.
Is it an official meeting? It would be,
It'll be a
wouldn't it?
special
Because
meeting.
you couldn't Skype,
We have a quorum.
Zoom it.
You can zoom in,
I can zoom in,
you
listen.
can't vote.
You can't vote.
Yeah, and we have we now have facilities for you to Zoom.
Can we do that?
So let's talk about next Monday.
If Scott can do Zoom in, and, I mean, he doesn't have
What's the
to
date?
vote.
What's the date?
24th.
24th.
Actually, we fly out at 3 o'clock, so.
Okay, so let's
Well, we
try-
know where you stand, Scott.
Let's do, well, I like your input though. So we'll Zoom you in.
But he's on a plane.
On a plane.
Oh,
3 o'clock.
Oh, 3 o'clock,
What if-
that's right.
What if you bounce it another week till you're back? Where
It'll
we lost?
be, I don't know, I
Oh,
don't
man,
remember
that
what
would
time
be
we get
big.
back
May
in.
1st.
May 1st, and we have to have, no, we gotta.
And we leave again the 6th, so.
No, we gotta do it next week. Next month.
Anytime is good for me.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
If it's Monday, I can't.
Does it have to be a Monday?
It doesn't have to be a Monday.
Monday's an issue for me.
Well, I could do it, once I'm down in Florida, I can do it then,
Or do we do it like,
Tuesday or Wednesday or.
or
How
do
about Friday?
it this Friday?
Can I share something with the board?
Well, Greg's supposed to be off on Fridays, so maybe Thursday, would that work?
That's all right. Here's my thoughts. There are knowns and there are unknowns. In my opinion, you have to do something about expanding this building. Okay, that's known. Number two, you have to hire somebody. Here's what I don't like. We don't know. If the board says, okay, Greg, we'll draft up something, get some more firm prices, so we have more of a ballpark of what we need. Then, the next time we go to the taxpayers, that gives us 11 months to educate and inform the taxpayers on what we need. Will it be tough for us to staff? Yep, we'll have to just figure that out. But in lieu of the conversation that is, the direction is going in on, we should do this rather than a millage, and a millage, which I understand. Why don't we figure out, okay, we need to do an addition, because then that will cover staffing, we'll build in hiring somebody, and it'll accommodate the BLS influx. If we go BLS, but whatever you do, you'll be investing that money, and I think that you might, where it's station addition, with dorm rooms, and 3 staff members. Then you're set. But we don't know what to tell the taxpayers what we need right now. And I think we have to be more definitive on this. And I hate to say it, I'm the one, I can't staff this,
See,
you know.
you went by for a year?
Huh?
You went by for a year with what you got?
But I don't like that,
I know,
because you live by for a year, you can't collect the 2.3 mils or 5 for another year, so then you're 2 years out, you're a year out now, correct, Pete?
Well, we could raise the millage, the 3/10 of a millage to go to 2.5, that isn't gonna pay for any 2x4s or
No.
anything. That's just gonna pay for the wages, the benefits for 3 full-time career people.
Well, that's where I was going with this. What do you need for the people? And what do you need for the building? And then what do we need to
You need $189,000 for 3 people.
But you need to start collecting that now, we can't wait another year, then we're
Well, what's
totally
the
screwed.
procedure, or what's
They're
the,
gonna have to bond, we can't raise the millage to 10 mil, they go, so at some point, once you get a cost, if it's a $2 or $3 million building, then you're gonna either go to Board of the People to bond, or we can do, go through the process of buying a truck, you can do it for buildings too, and that's when you, so.
But if we went to borrow money, that means each jurisdiction will have to go
That's
through
okay.
that.
Well, at least we're not in a rush. We're not, last time we kinda got the horse before the cart, or whatever you call it. With that, we'd have to go, because you're gonna have to bond for a $3 million building, there's no way you can raise the millage to pay
No.
for it.
But that way, we're gonna have to go to each jurisdiction to bond,
Yeah.
so it's just.
Well,
Yeah,
for
but
that
that's
time,
part
we
of
got
it.
time, they're
Right.
gonna know.
That's part of life.
That's just life,
You
yeah.
have to do it.
Okay, so,
well, wait a minute. To get to the 2.5 mils, whatever, to fund the hiring, the $185,000, whatever it is, to raise that millage, can we just do that I know we can do it without going to the voters.
Mhm.
But is there more to it than that?
You have to get it passed by
Oh,
each.
well, just like we passed, we're gonna say to them, we need raising the millage to 2.5 mils, or up to 2.5, and this is the reason for more staffing, right?
So then that's gotta be the setup
That we
for
gotta
the
do it by-
presentation to those three councils that
Right.
sets up.
And then you have them in the room,
Yeah.
and say, now we got $3 million that we needed an addition for dormitories, and you get them here, and say, and that's coming down the pipe for next budget year, and bonding, and
Mhm.
going
Yeah,
there.
so we can-
Yeah, so like, you got time to think about this, maybe they got better, I don't know.
You could go to 2.5 mils and then discuss building and all that
The next time.
the next time around. But we have to do this now.
But until you get.
But I don't think we should bring in the transport and stuff like that.
No, we don't need to bring that up.
I
Just
think
yet.
that's-
We don't even know where we're going.
Right.
But, because we can't seem to get, AMR and Life will not cooperate. They will not meet with us.
But I still think it might be a topic of discussion if we have them all here.
Right,
Maybe on the back burner, this is the future, what we're studying.
right.
So you plant that
You'd
seed.
be set up better if you do transition to BLS, irrespective if you don't transfer to BLS. The addition and the staffing is gonna allow for the growth that you are having. And that's what I think you have to deal with. It's, the whole
That's the
dynamics
biggest
of
problem
this is
right now.
changing.
Okay,
But I-
then the other issue on top of all of those issues are that I will be leaving here on January of 25. My term is up, there's no way in hell they'll ever put me on this fire board again. So, you're gonna have to find a new board chair, you're gonna have to decide who's gonna do that, and they're gonna have to start getting really involved at this point with the whole process, because you can't just start with a new chair in the middle of this process. So somebody's going to have to get really involved really quickly. So that's just another thing to think about.
Is there only one member at large, or can you have others?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, we're stuck with them.
You're stuck with me for a few more years.
I just wondered if we could have two, and then Jane could be one. Yeah.
Unless you want to make Scott part of the township, then we'd lose
Yeah.
one of you, so.
Okay.
You've been talking about that for a while.
14
Besides
years,
that,
I
I'm not
think.
getting any younger, I'm one of those old people dance. So, I mean, this is a lot to think about. When do you want to meet? We could do a Zoom meeting to discuss all this, you know, some evening, or, I don't know, whenever you want.
I think it's better to meet in person.
I like
The
meeting.
Zoom thing for trying to actually get shit done as opposed to just listening to other people's,
Yeah.
better at one and not good at all.
Okay, so when do you want to do this?
You
Do
get
wanna
better
do it
interaction
yet
Yeah.
this
with
week?
people talking and this, that.
Yeah,
you wanna-
there's no delays.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, I got a Chiefs meeting, just if we could avoid it.
I mean, if we,
Thursday.
I'm at the ends of the weeks
No,
are better
no.
and beginning.
Of course you're going to be there. If I'm going to suffer, so are you.
I guess.
Why don't we do it Monday and we just fill Scott in? I mean, we're not gonna vote on anything.
Oh, we'll do it Monday and, yeah, okay.
I've got a problem
Yeah,
on
that's
that
not-
Monday.
Monday,
Oh,
you got
you
a problem
do
up?
too,
Okay.
okay.
I have a time problem on that Monday. I could, you know, if it started
Okay.
it later, but.
We
maybe-
could do it Monday evening.
It'd have to be 7 or 8 o'clock.
7, 8 o'clock's my bedtime.
I'm with you, David.
You have to be really careful when
I
you
don't
call
know.
Dan in the evening, because he's.
We don't get it until 6:30, so.
You can call, just don't expect the answer.
Okay,
What about
so,
Tuesday?
what about on
different nights?
Tuesday?
Because that's gonna be hard for Scott.
Okay.
I'm
What
good
about
on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Tuesday,
What Tuesday are we talking?
25th,
Week from today.
Yeah,
so it's April 25th?
yeah,
I'd have to bring Blake.
that's fine.
Okay. He just
I'm up,
slips out.
I'm out on that day, I'm in Cadillac,
Okay.
Okay. What about,
and Wednesdays.
well, I have no life on Friday, so do you want to do it on Friday, or?
Week from Friday, right?
28th? Is that where we're at?
That's where you're at, yeah.
If we do it a week from Friday. We do
What
it,
time?
Yeah, I'll certainly I can do that.
Could we do it a little earlier?
sure.
I mean, I don't care, I mean, I could.
Early, would be better.
I think you're the only guy that works.
I would prefer to do it like at 3,
Okay.
because it'll take us a couple hours and be done with it.
Okay, 3 o'clock next Friday or this
Mhm.
Friday?
Not this Friday.
Okay,
I'm
next
not-
Friday.
I'm.
The
busy
28th,
Friday.
we're talking?
I think.
The 28th
Okay.
Yeah,
at 3 PM.
Okay.
yeah, pick Stephen up at 6 at the airport that Friday. That should be all
He
right.
might have to walk.
It's only a 15-minute drive.
The 28th.
Vicky can go get him.
Okay. Next? Okay,
Maybe we set up 3 and 5 or something.
yeah, Friday, 3 o'clock.
You gotta
Can you
post
do
it
that?
anyway,
Can
don't
you
you?
do
I should be, I don't, I mean,
Yeah.
basically, we got, there's the budget that's presented that you have in here, so I guess what's the conversation, of adding 3 more people starting in July, or, I mean, that's really what the discussion, I mean, I
That
don't
would
know.
be the optimum, that would be the
Yeah,
best, but I
that
don't
would-
wanna push
Yeah, I mean,
anybody.
that's what is the discussion? I mean, really, yeah, you can move some numbers around here on the line items, maybe $1,500, $2,000 here or there, but that's not gonna solve the problem, so.
Well, if we added 3 people, that would cut down on overtime and some of the,
Well, you're gonna pick up 2, some with
But you gotta have
With
more
stipend,
insurance
others-
You
and...
can have
Yeah, it's
other
still,
things that come along with
it's
that.
still,
It's not like-
it's still gonna be,
well, sure, but it's still
Workman's
not
by
gonna
the
comp.
time you get
Insurance.
insurance and get everything added, and the time you've gotta buy anything, you're still gonna eat up at a tenth of a mil, 85 grand a person, time you got wages and all the bennies there. I mean, yeah, you're not, but not everybody, but you're gonna be hitting that 200 grand mark pretty, it just goes quick.
And then the other thing is we'll be dipping into our pay on call people probably, because they'll apply for these jobs, and we can't not give them to them if they're qualified. So,
I have to go too.
oh my God. Okay, well, let's move on.
Okay.
And,
So what's the 28th at 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure an invite's sent out so people can put it on.
so you guys
I'll
don't
send it
like
myself.
either, that's good to hear. We have no correspondence, public comment, you guys must be so bored out there. Fire board comments. Stacy?
Nothing.
Eric?
No,
Dan?
I have one quick one,
Okay.
which I've spoken to the chief about, whatever, a couple weeks ago. This Saugatuck short-term rental discussion and planning such as it is. Included in that is, I'm hoping, going to be consideration of dramatically adjusting licensing fees and whatever based on real costs. A 3-year license for a short-term rental in Saugatuck costs $350. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. And half of that goes to the fire district to do the revenues, or to do the inspections. On top of that, rental inspections, in your view, don't let me speak out of turn, should be annual. I mean, batteries, you're supposed to be looking at batteries every year.
You look at them
When-
10 minutes before they get there.
When people don't show up for their rental inspection or consistently go, oh, we can't do it on Tuesday, how about next week after you've said, all of these have costs related to them. And within the fire district, I think if we could get a much better handle on what those costs are, in terms of people, in terms of wear and tear on equipment, in terms of gasoline, oil, everything, so that they're fully loaded. So, and as I said, I can't get my garage doors replaced for under $400, and that's a one morning visit for like 2 hours. And they're doing hard, they're lifting shit and all the rest of that. So if that number is really $900, so be it, because if we don't charge what the costs are, we are effectively
Losing money.
subsidizing the short-term rental owners.
Yeah.
because these expenses belong to them, not to the rest of the community who are otherwise paying for it in their taxes, and that's bullshit. So we need, it can serve as pressure to Saugatuck to get them to do the same kind of cost analysis inside City Hall, but that's a separate matter. But for the district, I think we need a justifiable, it doesn't have to be 20-page study, it's a one-page deal. Here's what it costs. When we go after, when you get your cost recovery things, that kind of costing that is real and is able to be justified, because you can't just pick a number out of thin air. They'll be legally challenged and you'll be blown out of the water. But if you could say, here's what it costs us, and then say to Saugatuck, that's what it costs the fire district. Our responsibility is to husband the resources, not just for Saugatuck, but for all three communities, and that's a short-term rental expense. Therefore, it should be included in your licensing fee, and regardless, we're going to charge you for it.
All three municipalities.
Huh?
All three municipalities.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like $900 is like a day's rent.
Not even. I mean, it's crazy. And part of the people want to slow down short-term rentals. One of the ways you slow down short-term rentals is you adjust their cost basis.
Yeah.
And if they're not paying, I mean, if that $350 should effectively be $6,000 a year, or $5,000 or whatever, all of a sudden the cost numbers now start to at least require a little different look.
Yeah, but as soon as you raise it too high, then they stop getting them inspected and try to get around
The same deal,
everything.
then the same thing.
But it has to have teeth.
The fine status, they can't enforce, they got no code enforcement people to enforce violations. They dump that on the county sheriff in Saugatuck, which the rest of the community is, again, getting screwed because the enforcement is going directly to the benefit of the short-term rental owners, not to everybody else, but everybody else is paying a pro rata share. That's nonsense. It's nonsense. So all it is an attempt to start to get realistic looks at costs from the fire district to those who consume them, specifically for their purposes, not for the overall community safety. That's not what those are about. This is a service for the short-term rental owner, period.
Okay. Scott, you got anything?
No.
So if we can get something, start there, I don't know.
I have it on the agenda, or on my calendar to revise the rate sheet in November for you guys to be approved for the next year, so.
Double whatever you're thinking.
I don't need, yes, I was gonna say, it's.
Well, I think a lot of
We can't be bashful.
the municipality, I don't know, they're gonna have, number one, we want them all the same, number two, they're gonna have to raise their rates. To raise our rates, they have to come to some sort of equity.
Well, but
Yeah.
what's equitable is what it costs, whatever that number, that's what's equitable. Because anything other than that is doing a favor for nothing for the short-term rental owners and spreading the cost of that favor on everybody else. That's nonsense.
Yep, we can evaluate it.
Okay, can I have a
We
motion?
will.
I'll make a motion to dismiss,
I'll second.
adjourn.
All right, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.